Naira appreciates at the parallel market as CBN targets $2 billion monthly from international money transfer operators. Federal government says conversion of vehicles to dual fuel or auto gas is free. OPEC and Russia reach deal to raise oil production. Plus, Finance Bill 2021, its implications and more. My name is Benny Adams, your guide on Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. The Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) said the new policy of remittance program that is designed to boost and facilitate an efficient flow of diaspora remittances takes effect from today, 4th December 2020. Godwin Emefiele, governor of the Apex Bank, Thursday said all international money transfer operators in the country have been configured to comply.
This would help finance the future stream of investment opportunities for Nigerians in the diaspora, while also guaranteeing that recipients of remittances will receive a market-reflective exchange rate for their inflows. The stakeholders have committed that they will deploy all necessary tools and facilities to ensure that these measures become effective from the 4th of December 2020.
Well, the Naira this morning gained some ground in the parallel market as the diaspora remittance policy takes effect. Let's take a look at prevailing rates. The performance of annual national budget is dependent on the level of financial releases to ministries, departments, and agencies of government, and revenue generation determines this disbursement. To ramp up Nigeria's revenue for the funding of the 2021 budget, the executive drafted a bill that seeks to modernize Nigeria's tax laws. The bill has passed second reading in the Senate.
Seeks to modernize the Nigerian tax system by incorporating recommendations of the OECD, that is Organization of Economic Development and Cooperation, on taxation of the digital economy and profits earned by non-resident companies.
What this amendment is seeking to do, encourage our medium and small-scale enterprises.
There are many billions of naira in Nigerian banks today that are idle funds.
The bill is referred to the Senate committees on Finance, Customs, Public Procurement, and Trade and Investment to report back within 1 week, with the Committee on Finance as lead committee.
Earlier, Katung Babatunde earlier discussed with Senator Aliyu Sabi Abdullahi, the Deputy Chief Whip at the Nigerian Senate, on the finance bill which passed second reading on Wednesday. Enjoy it.
The speed at which the bill was passed. Can you speak to us about the speed? What is the urgency?
Well, thank you very much. I believe when you say speed, you mean to say we read the bill the first day and also went ahead to consider it for second reading the same day.
Exactly.
First, the reading, mere reading of the title of the bill is what we call first reading. And the second reading is basically to look at the principle and the merit of the bill. It's not to look at the clause by clause of the bill. So for me, what I want to say is that the urgency here stems from the fact that the Finance Bill 2020 is tied down to the 2021 appropriation bill. And basically, we are looking at the revenue profile. And so we believe if the intendment of the finance bill is to look at a way of showing up our revenue base, then we definitely have to ensure that the finance bill is passed before we even pass the appropriation bill, so that, of course, with the finance bill signed into law, it means it can begin to take effect when 2021 Appropriation Act is finally signed into law.
Okay, so what are the implications of this very finance bill to the nation's economy?
Well, first, let's refresh our mind to the fact that, of course, with the recession, which is occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, which is actually a global phenomenon because every economy was hit by this COVID-19 pandemic. And of course, even before now, the Ninth Senate was actually desirous of looking at the revenue side of appropriation, because we believe, yes, we've been borrowing, and we believe we have some capacity in-house which we have not exploited fully. And so the intendment was for us to deepen our searchlight on the revenue side of the appropriation. And in doing so, we've started engaging the revenue generating agencies and all the ministries, departments and agencies. And the idea here is to look at all the areas. Now, the finance bill encompasses so many things, in particular the tax. And so the intendment here is for us to broaden the tax base, to close all leakages where we have not been performing very well. And if we do that, of course, that means more revenue into our federation account. And with more revenue into federation account, then we can actually begin to see a drop in borrowing to fund our budget.
I was actually going to ask you, still going back to the issue of taxes and remittances, what are the likely changes we're going to see?
Well, I guess here what we're trying to do is to look at the tax burden, especially that we have this COVID-19, economic challenges. We realize that the small and medium enterprises, for example, are heavily impacted. And so to ease the burden on them, there are changes that are being, contemplated in the body of the finance, bill, to give them some succor in terms of both what they are going to be charged and then in terms of duration within which they will begin to be charged. So this and some other provisions that has to do with incentives, so that certain time period are provided to them within which they should not be taxed. So all these were intended to see how we can get economic activity back on track so that the economy can be stimulated for us to see a growth in our GDP.
Okay, looking at the growth in our GDP and the MSMEs, as you've pointed out, now, what is the level of engagement with your constituents? Because those people back home, not those in the major cities now, need this information. What sort of engagement is the National Assembly doing? And of course, if there's a kind of synergy with the federal government?
Well, I guess there is a synergy, because in the first instance, this is an executive bill. And when we have an executive bill, what it does is that the executive has taken its own position. Now, what we need to do is we have now referred the committee, the bill to the various committees. And the various committees are now going to look at the merit and demerit of whatever has been proposed. And in doing so, of course, they are going to have a public hearing. They are going to engage various stakeholders, all the people who are going to be impacted. And it is after all of this that they are now going to come up with recommendation that showed whether the proposal by the executive is something that we, as representative of the people, will be okay with. If it is not, we will now bring in what we feel is going to move the country forward.
Okay,
yeah.
So before I let you go, there's the issue of unclaimed dividends, which we hear is part of the process now, and of course claiming the dividends and benefits of the dead.
Well, I guess this issue is a little bit controversial, There are different opinions on this. And even in the debate yesterday, many people try to point to the fact that yes, there are so much resources within the context of the unclaimed dividends, and that these resources are not properly accountable. You know, there is no proper accounting as far as these resources are concerned. But the issue is some other people are saying, look, these are people's businesses, or these are people's assets, in terms of the fact that some people have invested and you know, they deserve to get this dividend. But the issue is it's gone on for many years without somebody coming forward to claim them. So I think the country is looking for resources, and I think we must have a framework. What we are looking at is we're going to come up with a framework that will ensure that even where such funds are going to be ceded, for example, to the federal government coffers, it must be done in such a manner that nobody is shortchanged, nobody is unnecessarily punished. But definitely, you agree with me, and that yes, there are some unclaimed dividends that are actually a product of corruption. And I think that is the angle that we want to look at, because if truly you have invested and you know your investment is genuine, there is nothing stopping you from coming forward to claim the dividend that investment has brought forward, except if you have something fishy. So, but it is something you don't have to rush into making judgment, because there are some legal issues here, and we want to be very sure that whatever decision we're going to take, it is designed to promote the welfare and security of our citizens.
Okay, sir. We're very, very grateful to have you on the program.
My pleasure to be here.
It is 4 weeks before the takeoff of the African Continental Free Trade Area. How ready is the business community to embrace this window of opportunity? Osai Lome is the co-founder, Labor Business School and coordinator, Nigeria-Korea Innovative Exchange. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So what are your thoughts on harnessing the opportunities available in this new continental market space? And is Nigeria really doing enough?
Yeah, I think, firstly, I would say that the government so far have tried by listening, to the business community prior to signing, this agreement. But, ever since then, we have not really seen a lot of activities in terms of mobilizing the business community to understand. Now, why it is critical for that mobilization to happen is because of the fact that in Nigeria today, the categories of businesses we have in Nigeria presupposes that 96% are small businesses. And so, leaving just about 4% for large corporations who are able to understand the dynamics of international trade and international agreements. So for the larger portion of these businesses, which are in the category of small businesses, don't understand. And this agreement is expected to provide access to market and access to market information for the small businesses to be able to take advantage of this agreement. And so on that note, we think that the government needs to do more in terms of engaging with the small business community, to making them understand, what are the basic requirements that will enable them to take advantage of this agreement.
Okay, from your interaction with these small business owners, have you found, for instance, if they have already found their market space? And of course, how can small businesses leverage on this window of opportunity?
Now, that is the critical thing that needs to be done, which is why we're talking about this engagement with the small business community, because from our own standpoint, from our own experience, like you said, engaging with this small business community, majority of them are unaware of these developments. And thankfully, like you pointed out in your narration, the operationalization of this agreement has been shifted to 1st of January 2021. And so I think within these few weeks, remaining for that to take effect, I think the government has to increase their engagement of the small business community. I expected that SMEDAN, which is the government agency responsible for providing support for small businesses, should take the initiative. But so far, so good. I have not seen any activity in that regard from SMEDAN. Again, the National Export Promotion Council also have not, really been doing enough. Though I I've seen some activities in terms of them trying to review Nigerian trade agreements with other, with foreign countries. But specifically as it concerns the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, there has not been any major or meaningful activity towards mobilizing the small business community.
Now, you are the co-author of Becoming Creative and Innovative.
Yes.
And this takeoff date was actually supposed to be sometime in the middle of this
Yes.
year. But now we are here, and we have just about 4 weeks to go. What opportunities has COVID-19 thrown up for small businesses in Nigeria?
Now, the interesting thing is, COVID-19 just kind of fast-tracked, the increasing digitization of businesses. Because today, small businesses that are not taking advantage of the online community, of the online presence, might not be able to survive. If you look globally at the business index, you discover that the businesses that are succeeding today, that are still topping the chart in terms of their market capitalization, are those businesses that are actually in the technological space. And so for small businesses, what they need to do now moving forward is to begin to increase their digitization footprints. They have to begin to think about, like what we have continued to preach to them. You need to begin to look at how you can participate in this talent war, because there is an ongoing talent war in the business community, where it has become critical for businesses to recruit, and not just recruit talented people, but how to retain talented people. And so small businesses have a window, because in Nigeria we have multiples of talented persons in the country. And so small businesses have the opportunity now to begin to look deep into the Nigerian populace, and because the African Continental Free Trade Agreement also is expected to expand the ability to increase production, and thereby increasing the ability to employ people and creating jobs. And so they should begin to prepare themselves and to understand the dynamics of recruiting qualified and experienced person that can provide them.
Okay, so before I just let you go, could you just briefly let us know now, the year is winding down.
Yes.
And of course there's always the talk of small businesses, most of them crashing as soon as they take off. How can small businesses retain their position in the market space now, just quickly before we let you go?
Yes, that is very true. There is a report that says over 70% of small businesses are liable to crash before their 5th birthday. Okay, and so the only thing a small business need to do is to understand that customer is king. Now, there have been new innovations around that statement, which is employee is king. When you make your employees king, they will make your customers king. A bad employee will make a bad customer. And so they need to begin to understand these dynamics of taking good care of their employees, so that the employees will be able to take good care of their customers.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Osai, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on, following Thursday's meeting, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and other oil-producing nations led by Russia reached a deal to modestly increase production in January. This is coming amidst a raging second wave of the coronavirus pandemic, though with the prospect of vaccines offering some hope. Based on the agreement, members of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, along with Russia and other countries, will raise production gradually by 500,000 barrels a day over a 3-month period starting in January. The increase is less than 1% of the global oil market. The conversion of vehicles to dual fuel or autogas to deepen gas utilization in Nigeria is free. This is the policy thrust of government to have the buy-in of interested motorists by 2021. Technical advisor to the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Gas Business and Policy Implementation, Justice Dere Faka reiterates that this is in line with the pronouncement made by the Minister of State Petroleum Resources and the GMD and NPC.
And we're looking at 1 million vehicles by the end of 2021.
The free conversion to autogas will no doubt further deepen gas utilization in Nigeria. It's the last month of the year and profit-taking has continued to drag down stocks, with the banking sector leading. Interestingly, stocks rose Friday to push the all-share index up by 0.48%, which saw it peak at 35,137 points. Market capitalization also ended the day at 18.365 trillion naira. 292 million shares were valued at 4.285 billion naira, were traded in 4,392 deals. Banking stocks led by FBN Holdings, UBA, and Access Bank led activities. Major global markets are looking good this Friday. Bosirable has an update.
European markets advanced on Friday as investors monitored prospects of a U.S. stimulus package and a last-minute Brexit trade deal. U.S. stock futures pointed higher in early Friday trade ahead of a key November jobs report that will indicate the pace of the labor market recovering in the world's largest economy. Stocks in Asia Pacific were mostly higher in Friday trade as the Pentagon added more Chinese firms to a blacklist of alleged Chinese military companies. Shanghai up slightly and closed at 3,444.58. Hang Seng Index finished its trading day 0.4% higher at 26,835.92, while Nikkei slipped 0.22% to close at 26,751.24. For stocks in Africa, they opened in mixed territory, with South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 and Nairobi's all-share posting gains. Ghana's GSE Composite was marginal, while Tunisia's Tunidex and Namibia's overall index opened low. Bossade Able, Business Express.
This is where we end this edition of Business Express. Remember to keep in touch by sending in your comments, observations, and suggestions. Also be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now, and the hashtag is BizX. Business Express returns Monday. Be safe out there.